your cell phones as we watch your movie. Crowded theater, there are a bunch of people trying to squeeze in, so thanks for your patience on this. And remember, after the film, we're going to have a short Q&A up here with the director, Stephen Caple, and the actor who plays Ivan Drago's son, Florian Munteanu. So, enjoy the film.
So, what are you fighting for?
Adonis Creed has been challenged by Viktor Drago, son of the man who killed his father.
I'm taking the fight.
That's the same thing your father said, and he died right here in my hands. This kid was raised in hate. It's dangerous.
This won't be the end of me. Or you. Because we're a team.
Creed 2, rated PG-13.
What an exciting film. I gotta say, the crowd was into it the entire time.
I hope so, I hope so.
Florian, why did you have to cheat in the fight? You chicken ripped him, right?
Yeah, I kind of had to. I followed this guy's instructions, so...
Those fight scenes were so intense. How real were they?
Oh, they were pretty real, trust me. You have to ask Mike how real it was, because I was hitting him a couple of times. And obviously, some big punches had to miss, because otherwise I would have taken his head off. And we all love Mike, right? So, but trust me, pretty intense and pretty real.
Oh, really quick, Mike says what's up to everybody. He's just finished rapping his movie, Just Mercy. I'm sorry he's not here, but he told me to say, what's up, DC? He loves y'all, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no, superstar. He's a superstar in that. What was it like directing those fight scenes? Had you done anything like that before?
No, previous, I had a sport movie before. It dealt with skateboarding and stuff like that. But ultimately, the movie was really about relationships, so I was easily attracted. I mean, I hope you guys enjoy like the Tessa Thompson and Michael B story arc and the family stuff with him and his pop. So boxing was secondary to us, though we had a lot of it in it. But you have Sly there, he's done 8 of these, man. And then Mike did Creed 1, and so he knew what it meant to get in shape. But we had, I mean, you guys seen it. This is my first Q&A after the movie, so this is really cool because you guys are like the first people to see it. We can talk about it, but we have 3 fights ultimately, and each one, stylistically, I wanted to be different. So the first one's a little glossy with Andre Ward, bringing him back from Creed 1, and then the second fight's a little bit more grittier, handheld, chaotic in your face, because he wins, sort of. And then the last one's like D, all of the above. Like we pulled out all the tricks and cards and really wanted you guys to feel the presence of the ring and his punches and Mike's talent and skill. So yeah, we just kind of dove into it. But yeah, a lot of prep. These dudes wore themselves out. A lot of injuries, weeks and weeks.
A lot of injuries, I'm telling you.
Accidentally punched in the head.
It was no joke, man.
What were some of the injuries? Go through some of the injuries.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like after, I don't know, like the 3rd shooting day when we did the boxing stuff, my shoulder was... And I had to go to the hospital a couple of times, and this guy was very worried because... you know, my shoulder, I couldn't move my shoulder no more. And then Mike came up, he had some knee problems too. But, you know, we fought our way through it. And I think you could see it, right?
By the time, and we shot in order, so we shot the fights first in the movie. That was like Sly's recommendation because he did it that way. It's easier to get the fights out the way. That way you could focus on the drama and they could just, the training would be in their minds before we even start the production. And so all of the training, them getting in shape, learning choreography is tiring. You're talking about 2-day, 3-day workouts. And then we go to the shoot, you know, and then we hit it straight with boxing, so they have to perform and swing like they are in a real fight. So it puts a toll on these guys. And so when we shoot in order, what you see in the last round at the end of the movie where these dudes are crying and hurt and be like, they really were pissed at me. Mike was like, come on, man. Flowing. Like, we have like beautiful images that not on the screen, but behind the scenes of like, just talking to each other became like a sport. You know what I mean? We had to motivate each other to keep getting up. All of us at a certain point. Cameraman sitting in the ring, he taking punches from POV shots. So it was intense.
Cameraman took punches?
Yeah, he took quite a few.
Yeah, I was hitting the camera, man. Hey, that happens, man.
He's punching everybody.
He knows that he has a risky job, so I mean.
So Steven, you're my age. You grew up with the Rocky films, right? I watched a ton of them. I came in here expecting a sports movie. I was expecting a boxing movie, and I got some of that, but there was a lot more of the relationships in there, fathers and sons, and fathers and daughters, and everything. How much of that? How much were you involved with putting that in there?
Quite a bit. I mean, Sly wrote the first draft. Like, he wrote a draft for the film, and he focused on the boxing. Fight 1, 2, and 3. When they called me in, they really wanted to touch upon Adonis's voice, which he was like, dude, I really want you to bring out Adonis and Bianca. And when I read it, I was like, I want to bring out Adonis and Bianca and the Dragos specifically, because I didn't want them to come off as a cartoon. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted them to be real if I can. And so with that came a lot of background, and where were they for the last 30 years? What if they're not in Russia? Or what if, you know, he's trying to redeem his father's name? What's up with Bridget Nielsen? Like, can we bring her back? So it was stuff like that I had my own little touch on. And then with the relationship between Mike and Tess, it was some personal stuff, to be honest. Like, not everybody, has done a pregnancy test where he felt kind of nervous about taking a test, or he got engaged, or we just wanted to show these like small private moments because everything was so big, and all you guys have been seeing in the trailers and teasers is like the fight, I'm sure, and fireworks, boom, boom. And I was like, man, what it's really about is like the small stuff at home and outside the ring. And so that was somewhat easy because I was pulling from personal stuff in my life. Tessa came through with personal stuff, who's really intelligent actress. And then Mike himself, you know, embodying Adonis Creed, and he felt like he was a boy in Creed 1. And this one's like, what does it take to be a man? How do you be a family man? We got stuff at stake now. And so just a different element, just different vibe, even though it's in the same world, if that makes sense, of the Creed and Rocky franchise. But those relatable things is what make a Rocky movie, you know?
Yeah. Have you watched this film in front of a crowd before, or with a crowd?
We have preview audiences, but they're very quiet because they know they're there for preview and they gotta like write down answers and.
I gotta say, in this crowd, every single laugh line.
Was it good?
Yeah,
I was just at another event. That's why I went in tuxedos and suits. I promise you, well, it is for you guys. You know, we came out here. I thought y'all were gonna be dressed up too. Where's the red carpet at? Where's the red? No, but no, I really wanted to hear the vibe. Like when the movie comes out, I know we got premieres in New York, Philly, all that jazz. As we travel along with the film, but I'm in LA right now. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, but I live in LA. Thank you. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, all three people in Cleveland. Appreciate it.
Steven, what's up with your calves, man?
I know. Let's talk about that another time. But when I go see it, I'm going to Crenshaw in LA because I know the audience is going to be live. When I saw Creed 1 there, people came out of the theaters talking as if Apollo was real. You know what I mean? I know he's not a real boxer, right? And, so when I had the opportunity to do part 2, I'm like, I want people to walk out the same way about Adonis, feeling like they connect with him. And now the Dragos, now that we have an opportunity to reintroduce them, I would love, thank you for the applause, but like that's much deserved. These dudes have put a lot on the line, and he worked really, this is his first movie, so.
Thank you guys, but I'm telling you honestly, this guy pushed me really to my limits, and he pushed me so much to my limits. He brought something out me that I didn't know I had it in me, because usually I'm used to be the beast, just a killing machine that I am. But then, this guy discovered and told me like the emotional side is maybe one of my big strengths, and he pushed me to the limits, and I'm so thankful that I met this guy and the whole cast, and it made me not only a better actor, but a better person, and I'm just thankful and honored, man. Thank you, appreciate it.
Florian, your first movie, how do you land the part? How do you get it?
Interesting question, man. Well, it's the classic one, audition for the role.
You're killing me here.
Wait, I'll answer that for you. We can split it. Cause you guys. I got signed on to the project after Sly written his draft. Sly is now working on Rambo 5, I believe. And he's going, man. He's passionate about his work. Dude does not stop. But he was really passionate about Creed 2. And he's like, as I'm doing this, I can't direct this film, and like it's the youth time. It's your generation. It's you. And so he allowed that creative space. But he was like, but I was at his house, like, so I'm meeting Rocky, Rambo, Demolition Man, everybody. So I'm like a little nervous, and he goes, I just see the kid in him light up. He's like, but I gotta show you something. Come to my office. And he puts up this big YouTube video, and you guys can check it out. It's of Florian. And this dude's like doing the workouts in the video, like throwing stuff against walls, picking up pit bulls by the neck. Right?
It was a pit bull.
Go check it out. It's dead serious. Y'all, that was not a joke. He was lifting up he was curling a pit. Like, dude is crazy. And he's like, yo, he's good. I don't know if he can act, but man, he's good. So Sly found him, like, legit. And so that's when he auditioned for the film. So that's how I kind of started. But Sly was very much, if he doesn't work, do your thing, but like I think he's a monster and a beast, and he looks like he can be some talent. So Sly has an eye for that. He found Dolph. He found a lot of people. You know what I mean? So he spotted this kid, and he was lifting pit bulls, and he came in and auditioned. And and I was in a room. We flew him from Romania, right?
I'm from Munich,
Germany. And he came through, and he was it. It was natural. Mike came by, and we were all at MGM, and we saw the natural chemistry amongst each other, you know what I mean? So it was like, I had just met Mike, so I'm like 2.5, 3 weeks in with Mike. Me and him clicked immediately. So when he came in, it was like another piece of the puzzle, and it felt like it was all good from there.
Somebody new like that, how do you teach him to get out of being so raw as an actor?
Well, you want him to be raw. You don't want to take that away. I think a lot of it comes from personal experiences. It's just a lot of sit down and talking and really getting into his head and who he is as a person, and then bringing that out and having multiple conversations on set. But I try not to, with an actor like him that's first time, you try not to give adjectives and give like a simple direction out, like Mike, who's been doing this for years. So we have a really shorthand, whereas him, we would go into stories, behind scenes, and then he would understand what it is. And also there's that language barrier. So some things that may make sense in a phrase may not to him. So having to really explain that thoroughly, but he got it. I mean, hopefully he brought it to you guys on screen, but come on, man.
I got the same question for you. I know you're good. You did a couple of films. You got
I'm all right.
I can say it. How did you get the role? I mean, this is the Rocky franchise. It's a big franchise, man. You're going from Sylvester Stallone to Ryan Coogler.
Coog and MGM. I was a producer at MGM, and I was familiar with my work. And then Coogler was doing Black Panther. Out to Coog and Black Panther when this was about the film. So Black Panther wasn't even released yet. So I ran into him on the Disney lot. We caught up because we went to USC together. And shortly after, I was on the lot shooting Grownish, the TV show Grownish, which is a spinoff of Blackish, just giving a shout out. And and I get the call, and they're like, dude, we want you to look at Creed 2. Ryan spoke of you, this, that, and the other. And so next thing you know, MGM was on the lot while I was shooting the episode, talking about the film, and I gave my notes and 2 cents, and it really relied on Sly and Mike. MGM was one thing, but I knew the talent behind it. Not only had a lot of say-so, but I wanted to see what direction they were going and how they were feeling about the project, because it's a sequel, so you know what I mean? I don't know how people necessarily feel about doing it again, especially me. I'm like, the expectations of a sequel are tough, so if I don't have them in my corner, I really don't want to do it at all.
Not only a sequel, but the Rocky films have a certain story arc that would almost seem like, what's the opposite of liberating, constricting?
Very, so you can feel restraint creatively. And so when I spoke to Sly, who was the first person I met, he legit was 1, 2, 3. I want to stick to those fights because of the homage to like Clubber Lang and all the old Rocky movies. He's like, I think people enjoy this, but then the task was, if you knew you're gonna fight him 50 minutes into the film, you know there's gonna be another fight. So how do we switch it up? So that's when I tossed in the throwing the towel idea as a callback and giving up. So all those elements were like just some ideas I had after being a fan, but also wanted to add to it and not necessarily confine myself just to the older format, if that makes sense.
Florian, you got the acting bug? You want to do more of this, right?
I mean, absolutely. Like,
We spoke about this today. That's why.
Listen,
See you in the octagon still?
like fighting. Hey, if it makes sense, maybe. But like I said before, Steven brought something out of me that I didn't know that I had in me, and I really enjoyed the process. And I think that I found something that I'm really good at it. So I think you will see me in the near future again on the big screen. For sure.
Steve and I talked, we're both big Rocky fans. I think everybody in here is a big Rocky fan. Did you watch the Rocky Did you watch Rocky movies growing up? Were you familiar with them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I keep telling the story of my first Rocky movie, which was actually Rocky IV with Ivan Drago. And, you know, my father always wanted me to watch those movies, and my mom was major against it because she thought it's too brutal. And my father wanted me to box, and my mom was against it. So my father sneaked me out of the house, brought me into his office, and my mom put me already to sleep, so he sneaked me out of the house, and he knew that Rocky IV was on TV. And we were watching, I was sitting on the lap of my father, and we were watching Rocky IV, which is actually a dope moment. And this one dope moment that I also use for my acting. But anyways, and my mom, she's always sensing if my father is planning something, you know? So she kind of knew, like, what the heck is he going to do at that time driving to the office? So she was looking into my room and saw the empty bed. So she was waiting for us inside my bed when we're coming home. And when we come home and my father wanted to put me into my bed and opened the door, she was already there. And that was the moment when we knew that we were... But that's my special Rocky moment.
That's awesome.
That's a great one. I have to ask, did you root for Drago in Rocky IV?
Yes, I did. It's my pops, you know.
I'm not going to say anything about that. So, Steve, what about you? Now you do a big budget film. Are we going to see you doing superhero films? And I mean, did you get the bug to be that kind of director now?
The bug? Oh, well, I always had the directing bug, so...
I meant for like the big budget.
For the big budget is cool. The money's nice and all that jazz. But nah, I mean, honestly, I just do films that speak to me, to be totally honest with you. I mean, my agents and team is in here right now, and they'll tell you that. They'll be like, we can't believe you turned down blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it didn't speak to me. You know what I mean? Like, Creed 2 and Sly and Mike spoke to me, and Grownish TV show about some kids trying to make it through college, or our Netflix documentary I did about music and this artist that I really enjoy. So it's really about just what speaks to me, to be honest. It could be a Marvel film, or it could be something small, another independent film, as long as like I'm in it and I feel like I'm in it. I don't mind, man. I've been doing this for a bit since I was a kid, and so I love movies based on like what spoke to me, what was happening behind the scenes, more than even on the screen, who's involved, is it people of color, you know what I mean? That stuff kind of like, the first movie ever inspired me, ironically enough, is like Bad Boys. I went to film school, so cats are like, did you study Fellini and the art of film noir? And then I'm like, nah, it was Bad Boys. And just because I was like a kid and I didn't see two cops that were black running around making me laugh and doing all this cool stuff, and I started remaking movies based off of that. Yeah. So that spoke to me. It was no artsy film. It was a big budget film, but I just wanted to see that. You know what I mean? And so to do films like this, where Kugler's a producer, I'm the director, Mike's an EP, Tessa's in it, Joel was a writer. I brought on a black dude from Alabama. Like, that is what gets me excited, because I'm like, now we're putting on. We're not just...
That's really interesting because I would think the script would be everything, but it's so much more than just a script.
It's beyond, because you have a lot of people writing certain kind of scripts because they want to dive into what we already know or what we've been doing for a while. But if a script talks to you, then yeah, ultimately, of course, you know what I mean? But then you have, when you're in that seat, to hire people or to bring people on that like looks like you or to be part of this movement, then you take that opportunity to do so, you know? It's a personal thing, so it's not necessarily a big Hollywood thing. So I could be in a Marvel movie, or I could be doing a dope commercial for Home Depot. I don't know. If I care about it, I'm there.
So you're a big sports fan, I know.
Yes. Are we gonna talk about LeBron James right now? Or?
He's in LA.
He is in LA. Oh, it's a sore spot. But we should. Let's talk about John Wall and the Wizards. Y'all gonna have a great year. Eastern Conference.
We're not talking about the Wizards now. We're not talking about.
You got people leaving out now.
Last question for you. You're a big Rocky fan. Rank the Rockies.
Oh.
Rocky. That was easy. It's not hard. In order?
Yeah.
Like from what I like the
what
most.
you like the
what I
most?
did.
Yeah.
Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 4, Rocky 6, Balboa, then Rocky 3 with Clubber Lang. Just the Rockies? Not the Creed, right? Rocky 5.
Yeah, just the Rockies.
Rocky 5 would be the last one. If Creed was in that order, Creed would be easy. This is the Rockies, right? Okay, the Rockies, that's the 6th order I got. Yep. It's a hard one between 2 and 4 with, Clubber Lang one is Rocky 3. Dug it, but Rocky 4, Apollo died, so I kind of, that's crazy to me. And Rocky 2, I feel like is really underrated. Like I really admire. Like it felt like a natural progression to a Rocky series, even though his hair was long for some reason. Because right after the fight, like he was knocked out in the bed for like 5 months. But ultimately, like just the intimacy there, I felt like it didn't lose its touch. You know what I mean? He started making money, and so you saw like these natural changes, at least for that time period. I feel like it's an underrated film, and it was one of the first ones I saw growing up. I grew up a little later. I grew up after. I was born after Rocky 4, actually. Yeah, Rocky 4 in like 86, 85.
The 90s.
You 90s? You 1990? Oh, I'm 88. You're 1990? Oh,
Crap. Old.
Oh, crap. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. Yes, you are.
I'm a baby man.
99?
He's
89. And he's 90.
Let's give it up one more time.